Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to address the guest in the audience. First of all, thank you for coming. We think engaged citizens are welcome and a valuable part of the political process. I do want to remind the guest in the audience that the chair is obliged under the House rules and the rules of the committee to maintain order and preserve decorum in the committee room. I know that we have deep feelings on these issues and that we all may not agree on everything, but I ask that we abide by these rules and be respectful of our audience members, our viewers, and our witnesses. The chair appreciates the audience cooperation in maintaining order as we have a full discussion on these important issues. The chair recognizes herself for 5 minutes for an opening statement. Mr. Chu, you are here because the American people need the truth about the threat TikTok poses to our national and personal security. TikTok collects nearly every data point imaginable, from people's location to what they type and copy, who they talk to, biometric data, and more. Even if they've never been on TikTok, your trackers are embedded in sites across the web. TikTok surveils us all. And the Chinese Communist Party is able to use this as a tool to manipulate America as a whole. We do not trust TikTok will ever embrace American values, values for freedom, human rights, and innovation. TikTok has repeatedly chosen the path for more control, more surveillance, and more manipulation. Your platform should be banned. I expect today you'll say anything to avoid this outcome, like you are 100% responsible for what TikTok does, that you suddenly endorse a national data privacy standard, that Project Texas is more than a marketing scheme, that TikTok doesn't harm our innocent children, or that your ties to the Chinese Communist Party through ByteDance is just a myth. We aren't buying it. In fact, when you celebrate the 150 million American users on TikTok, it emphasizes the urgency for Congress to act. That is 150 million Americans that CCP can collect sensitive information on and control what we ultimately see, hear, and believe. TikTok has repeatedly been caught in the lie that it does not answer to the CCP through ByteDance. Today, the CCP's laws require Chinese companies like ByteDance to spy on their behalf. That means any Chinese company must grant the CCP access and manipulation capabilities as a design feature. Right now, ByteDance is under investigation by the DOJ for surveilling American journalists, both digital activity and physical movements through TikTok. We also know that many of your employees still report directly to Beijing. Internal recordings reveal there is a backdoor for China to access user data across the platform. Your employees said, quote, "Everything is seen in China." A gateway to spy is not the only way TikTok and ByteDance can do the bidding of the CCP. TikTok has helped erase events and people China wants the world to forget. It's even censored an American teenager who exposed CCP's genocide and torture of Uyghur Muslims. The facts show that ByteDance is beholden to the CCP, and ByteDance and TikTok are one and the same. TikTok also targets our children. The For You algorithm is a tool for TikTok to own their attention and prey on their innocence. Within minutes of creating an account, your algorithm can promote suicide, self-harm, and eating disorders to children. It encourages challenges for them to put their lives in danger and allows adults to prey on our beautiful, beloved daughters. It's also a portal for drug dealers to sell illicit fentanyl that China has banned, yet is helping Mexican cartels produce, send across our border, and poison our children. In China, the CCP proactively prohibits this type of TikTok content that promotes death and despair to kids. From the data it collects to the content it controls, TikTok is a grave threat of foreign influence in American life. It's been said it's like allowing the Soviet Union the power to produce Saturday morning cartoons during the Cold War. but much more powerful and much more dangerous. Banning your platform will address the immediate threats. Make no mistake, this committee is also looking to the future. America needs to be prepared to stop the next technological tool or weapon China will use for its own strategic gain. We must prevent any app, website, and platform like TikTok from ever spying on Americans again. And we must provide the strongest protections possible for our children. That is why this committee is leading on a national privacy and data security standard. It restricts sensitive American data from reaching our adversaries to begin with, and what big tech and data brokers collect, process, store, and sell. It makes it illegal for any platform to track and target children under 17. Mr. Chu, the committee has requested that TikTok appear before us for a long time. For those we serve, we're glad the day has finally come. Today, the world is watching. ByteDance is watching. The Chinese Communist Party is watching. But the answers you owe are to the American people, a free people who cherish their God-given, unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. They deserve the truth. Complete honesty is the standard and the law you are being held to before this committee, as we seek to get answers and a full understanding of what happens at TikTok under your watch. The chair now recognizes the ranking member, Mr. Pallone, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And let me say that I agree with much of what you just said, and I certainly appreciate your enthusiasm and your commenting on being a mother and concerned about children. And I am glad that we are having this hearing today. Big tech has transformed the information superhighway into a super spreader of harmful content, invasive surveillance practices, and addictive and damaging design features. Data is big tech's most valuable commodity, and by collecting far more user data than they need, big tech platforms can use, share, and sell information to generate billions of dollars in revenue. Now, today we intend to bring more transparency to TikTok, which is controlled by its Beijing communist-based parent company, ByteDance. More than 130 million people in the United States use TikTok every month, including 2/3 of American teenagers. TikTok collects and compiles vast troves of valuable personal information to create an addictive algorithm that is able to predict with uncanny accuracy which videos will keep users scrolling, even if the content is harmful, inaccurate, or feeds destructive behavior or extremist beliefs. Now, the combination of TikTok's Beijing communist-based China ownership and its popularity exacerbates its danger to our country and to our privacy. Disinformation campaigns could be launched by the Chinese Communist government through TikTok, which has already become rife with misinformation and disinformation, illegal activities, and hate speech. A recent report found that 20% of TikTok search results on prominent news topics contain misinformation. Social media's profitability depends on growth and engagement. More eyes on their content for longer time leads to more advertising dollars and revenue generation. Addictive algorithms are fine-tuned to optimize growth and engagement without necessarily taking into account potential harms to users. Research has found that TikTok's addictive algorithms recommend videos to teens that create and exacerbate feelings of emotional distress, including videos promoting suicide, self-harm, and eating disorders. Public outrage and hollow apologies alone are not going to rein in big tech. Congress has to enact laws protecting the American public from such online harms, so we can stop the very real harms to our country and democracy under the current law. I look forward to the discussion today as we continue to bring accountability to big tech. And let me say to Mr. Chu, I know this is about TikTok, but I am focusing all my attention not only on TikTok, but on these concerns, wide concerns about social media and the protection of privacy. And with that, I yield back. Thank you again, Madam Chair, for having this very important hearing.
Our witness today is Mr. Shou Chew, Chief Executive Officer of TikTok. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Chair Rogers, Ranking Member Pallone, members of the committee, thank you for your time. I am Shou Chew, and I'm from Singapore. That's where I was born, as were my parents. And after serving in Singapore's military, I moved to the UK to attend college, and then here to the US to attend business school. I actually met my wife here. By the way, she was just born a few miles away from here in Virginia. 2 years ago, I became the CEO of TikTok. Today, we have more than 1 billion monthly active users around the world, including over 150 million in the United States. Our app is a place where people can be creative and curious, and where close to 5 million American businesses, mostly small businesses, go to find new customers and to fuel their growth. Now, as TikTok has grown, we've tried to learn the lessons of companies that have come before us, especially when it comes to the safety of teenagers. While the vast majority of people on TikTok are over 18, one of our fastest growing demographics are people over 35. We spent a lot of time adopting measures to protect teenagers. Many of those measures are firsts for the social media industry. We forbid direct messaging for people under 16, and we have a 16-minute watch time by default for those under 18. We have a suite of family pairing tools so that parents can participate in their teens' experience and make the choices that are right for their family. We want TikTok to be a place where teenagers can come to learn, which is why we recently launched a feed that exclusively features educational videos about STEM. STEM videos already have over 116 billion views on TikTok. And I think TikTok is inspiring a new generation to discover a passion for math and science. Now, I would also like to talk about national security concerns that you have raised, that we take very, very seriously. Let me start by addressing a few misconceptions about ByteDance, of which we are a subsidiary. ByteDance is not owned or controlled by the Chinese government. It's a private company. 60% of the company is owned by global institutional investors, 20% is owned by the founder, and 20% owned by employees around the world. ByteDance has 5 board members, 3 of them are American. Now, TikTok itself is not available in mainland China. We're headquartered in Los Angeles and in Singapore, and we have 7,000 employees in the US today. Still, we have heard important concerns about the potential for unwanted foreign access to US data and potential manipulation of the TikTok US ecosystem. Our approach has never been to dismiss or trivialize any of these concerns. We have addressed them with real action. Now, that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years, building what amounts to a firewall that seals off protected US user data from unauthorized foreign access. The bottom line is this: American data stored on American soil by an American company, overseen by American personnel. We call this initiative Project Texas. That's where Oracle is headquartered. Today, US TikTok data is stored by default in Oracle servers. Only vetted personnel operating in a new company called TikTok US Data Security can control access to this data. Now, additionally, we have plans for this company to report to an independent American board with strong security credentials. Now, there's still some work to do. We have legacy US data sitting in our servers in Virginia and in Singapore. We're deleting those, and we expect that to be complete this year. When that is done, all protected US data will be under the protection of US law and under the control of the US-led security team. This eliminates the concern that some of you have shared with me that TikTok user data can be subject to Chinese law. This goes further, by the way, than what any other company in our industry have done. We will also provide unprecedented transparency and security for the source code for the TikTok app and recommendation engine. Third-party validators like Oracle and others will review and validate our source code and algorithms. This will help ensure the integrity of the code that powers what Americans see on our app. We will further provide access to researchers, which helps them study and monitor our content ecosystem. Now, we believe we are the only company that offers this level of transparency. Now, trust is about actions we take. We have to earn that trust with decisions we make for our company and our products. The potential security, privacy, content manipulation concerns raised about TikTok are really not unique to us. The same issues apply to other companies. We believe what's needed are clear, transparent rules that apply broadly to all tech companies. Ownership is not at the core of addressing these concerns. Now, as I conclude, there are more than 150 million Americans who love our platform, and we know we have a responsibility to protect them, which is why I'm making the following commitments to you and to all our users. Number one, we will keep safety, particularly for teenagers, as a top priority for us. Number two, we will firewall protected US data from unwanted foreign access. Number three, TikTok will remain a place for free expression and will not be manipulated by any government. And fourth, we will be transparent and we will give access to third-party independent monitors to remain accountable for our commitments. I'll be grateful for any feedback that you have, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
As you state in your testimony, ByteDance is TikTok's parent company. Is it accurate to say that you are in regular communication with the CEO of ByteDance, Leon Robo?
Chair Rogers, yes, I am in
Thank you.
communication with him.
Kelly Zhang is the CEO of ByteDance China, overseeing Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok. Are you in regular communication with Kelly?
I'm not in regular communication with her.
The ByteDance editor-in-chief is Zhong Fuping, correct?
I believe so.
And Wu Shugang is Beijing ByteDance technology board member and also an official of the Cyberspace Administration in China. Is this correct?
I believe so. They are not in direct.
Thank you. TikTok has told us that you weren't sharing data with the CCP, but leaked audio from within TikTok has proven otherwise. TikTok told us that you weren't tracking the geolocation of American citizens. You were. TikTok told us you weren't spying on journalists. You were. Quoting a CCP spokesman as saying the Chinese government would make a decision regarding any sale of TikTok. So the CCP believes they have the final say over your company. I have zero confidence in your assertion that ByteDance and TikTok are not beholden to the CCP. Next question. Heating content is a way of promoting and moderating content. In your current or previous positions within Chinese companies, have employees engaged in heating content for users outside of China?
Our heating process is approved by our local teams in the various countries.
The answer is yes, thank you. Have any moderation tools been used to remove content on TikTok associated with the Uyghur genocide?
We do not remove that kind of content. TikTok is a place for freedom of expression. And Chair Rogers, like I said, if you use our app, you can go on it and you will see a lot of users around the world expressing content on that topic and many others.
Thank you. What about the massacre in Tiananmen Square, yes or no?
That kind of content is available on our platform. You can go and search it.
I will remind you that making false or misleading statements to Congress is a federal crime.
I understand. Again, if you go on our platform, you will find that content.
Okay, thank you. Can you say with 100% certainty that ByteDance or the CCP cannot use your company or its divisions to heat content to promote pro-CCP messages for an act of aggression against Taiwan?
We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government.
The question is,
we will replace.
The question is, are you 100% certain that they cannot use your company to promote such messages?
It is our commitment to this committee and all our users that we will keep this free from any manipulation by any government.
If you can't say 100% certain, I take that as a no. As I previously referenced, TikTok spied on American journalists. Can you say with 100% certainty that neither ByteDance nor TikTok employees can target other Americans with similar surveillance techniques?
Chair Rogers, I first of all disagree with the characterization that is spying. It was an internal investigation.
Yes or no? Can you do surveillance of other Americans?
We will protect the US user data and fire it all from all unwanted foreign access. It's a commitment that we've given to the committee.
To the American people watching today, hear this, TikTok is a weapon by the Chinese Communist Party to spy on you, manipulate what you see, and exploit for future generations. A ban is only a short-term way to address TikTok, and a data privacy bill is the only way to stop TikTok from ever happening again in the United States. I yield back.
Let me just start out by saying, Mr. Chu, that I don't find what you suggested with Project Texas and this firewall that's being suggested to whoever will be acceptable to me. In other words, you know, I still believe that the Beijing Communist government will still control and have the ability to influence what you do. And so this idea, this Project Texas, is simply not acceptable. According to a recent report, TikTok is on target to make between $15 and $18 billion in revenue this year. Is that an accurate forecast?
Congressman, as a private company, we are not sharing our
I
revenue
thought
numbers
that's what you would
publicly.
say. How much money will TikTok make by delivering personalized advertisements just to your users in the United States? Will you give me that information?
Again, Congressman, respectfully, as a
I
private
thought
company,
that's
we're
what
not
you would
disclosing
say.
that.
My concern here is primarily about the privacy issue, the fact that TikTok is making all kinds of money by gathering private information about Americans that they don't need for their business purposes, and then they sell it. If you want to make some commitments today, why don't I'll ask you to make some commitments with regard to this legislation. Why not, what about a commitment that says that you won't sell the data that you collect? Would you commit to that, not selling the data you collect?
Congressman, I believe we don't sell data to any data brokers.
You don't sell to anyone.
We don't sell data to data brokers.
I didn't ask you data brokers. You sell it to anyone. You can only use the data for your own purposes, not to sell it to anyone. Would you commit to not selling your data to anyone?
Congressman, I actually am in support of some rules
I
around
didn't ask
privacy.
you whether the rules. I asked you whether the company, TikTok, would commit to not selling its data to anyone and just using it for its own purposes internally.
I can get back to you on the details
Okay,
of that.
get back to me. All right. Another thing that's in our bill says that we would prohibit targeting marketing to people under the age of 17. Would you be willing to agree to prohibit targeted marketing to people, Americans under the age of 17?
Congressman, we have actually stricter rules for advertisers in terms of what they can show to our
So
users
do
under
you
the age of
prohibit
18.
would you be willing to prohibit targeted marketing to those under 17? That's what's in our bill.
I understand that there's some talk and some legislation around the country.
Well,
We're
again,
studying
I'm
this.
wanting you to make that commitment without the legislation. Since you say you're a good company, you want to do good things, why not? Would you commit to not gathering or dealing with location or health data unless you get affirmative consent from the consumer?
Congressman, in principle, I support that. Which, by the way, we do not collect precise GPS data at this point. And I do not believe we collect any health data.
Is that
Congressman,
a commitment?
this is data that's frequently collected by many other companies in our industry.
I know other companies do it. I don't think they should without affirmative consent. You said you want to be a good actor. So why not make that commitment to me today?
Thank you, Mr. Chu, for joining us today. China certainly thinks it is in control of TikTok and its software. Is that not correct?
Congressman, TikTok is not available in mainland China.
And Mr. Chu, I wouldn't ask you to discuss any privileged attorney-client materials, but did anyone aside from your lawyers assist you in preparation for today's hearing?
I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Did anyone at ByteDance directly provide input, help, or instruction for your testimony today?
Congressman, this is a very high-profile hearing. My phone is full of well wishes. But I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Are you willing to share who helped prepare you for this hearing with the committee? And you can do that
I
in
can
writing.
follow up with you if
Okay.
you like.
Can you guarantee that no one at ByteDance had a role in preparing you for today's hearing?
Like I said, Congressman, this is a high-profile hearing. A lot of people around the world were sending me wishes and unsolicited advice, but I prepared for this hearing with my team here in DC.
Are the attorneys representing TikTok also representing ByteDance?
Yes, I believe so.
What percentage of TikTok revenue does ByteDance retain? Just give me a ballpark estimate if you don't precisely know.
Congressman, like I said, as a private company, we are not prepared to disclose our financials in public today.
But can we ask you to get back to us with a ballpark? We're not asking for the precise figures, but to get, so the committee can have some understanding of the percentage of TikTok revenue that ByteDance retains.
I understand the question. Respectfully, as a private company, we are not disclosing our financials today.
Prior to today's hearing, did anyone affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party discuss this hearing with you, or anyone else on TikTok senior management?
Congressman, since I've been CEO of this company, I've not had any discussions with Chinese government officials.
But what about the Chinese Communist Party itself? Have any of those officials discussed this with you?
Like I said, I have not had any discussion with Chinese government officials. I don't know the political affiliation of everybody I speak to, so I can't verify the statement.
Let me ask you a question in a different direction. A few weeks ago, this committee had a field hearing down in McAllen, Texas, and it was on the issue of fentanyl and illegal immigration. And one of our witnesses, Brandon Judd, a 25-year veteran Border Patrol agent, said that all social media platforms play a role in illegal immigration. That's one of the ways cartels advertise their services throughout the world and convince people to put themselves in their hands and come to the United States. The cartels all use social media platforms. Are you aware of this phenomenon?
Any content that promotes human abuse is violative of our community guidelines, which dictates what is allowed and not allowed on our platform. We proactively identify and remove them from our platform.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair recognizes the lady from California, Ms. Eshoo, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. TikTok, user data, ByteDance. How does TikTok, rather?
Congressman, thank you for the question. I'm glad you asked this.
I
By the American
understand that.
company.
I understand that, but the Chinese government has that data. How can you promise that that will move into the United States of America and be protected here?
Congresswoman, I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what?
I have asked that question.
I find that actually preposterous.
I have looked in. I have
really
seen no evidence of this happening.
Well, I'm one that doesn't believe that there is really a private sector in China. You have said or done anything to convince us that information, the personal information of 150 million Americans, that the Chinese government is not going to give that up. So,
Congressman,
can you tell me who writes the algorithms for TikTok?
Today, the algorithm that powers the U.S. user experience is running in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Yes, initially there were parts of the source code, especially at the infrastructure layer, that doesn't touch the user experience. Congresswoman, what we are offering is third-party monitoring of our source code. I am not aware of any company, American companies or otherwise, that has actually done that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unlike the Chinese Communist Party, the United States believes in individual freedom, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Last year, a federal judge in Pennsylvania found that Section 230 protected TikTok from being held responsible for the death of a 10-year-old girl who participated in a blackout challenge, also known as the choking challenge. TikTok actively pushes video on her feed. Unfortunately, this is one of the many devastating examples of children losing their lives because of content promoted by TikTok. Do you consider this to be a good faith moderation?
Congressman, as a father myself, when I hear about the tragic deaths of
My
young
question
people,
is,
it's
do you
heartbreaking.
find that good faith moderation?
Well, Congressman, Section 230 is a very complex issue.
Yes or no?
We are very focused on safety, and all
Okay,
these dangerous
I'm gonna have to
challenges
assume
are
that as a
removed when
no.
we find them.
Do you believe TikTok deserves this liability protection?
I'm sorry, Congressman.
Do you believe that TikTok deserves this liability protection under Section 230?
Congressman, as you pointed out, 230 has been very important for freedom of expression on the internet. It's one of the commitments we have given to this committee and our users, and I do think it's important to preserve that. But companies should be raising the bar on safety.
Let me follow
I
up.
really agree
Let
with
me
that.
just follow up real quickly from your own testimony. When you told us and you repeated it, we'll keep safety, particularly for teenagers, a top priority for us. When you're saying you're making that following commitment, why did you have to wait till now to make that following commitment now and not having done it before when this 10-year-old lost her life? When we recently met, I asked you if the Chinese Communist Party can currently access user data, and you did not have a clear answer. So today I want to follow up. You heard it a little bit, but I want to be absolutely sure of this answer. are employees of ByteDance subject to Chinese law, including the 2017 National Intelligence Law, which requires any organization or citizen to support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work in accordance with the law?
Like many companies, including many American companies, we rely on a global workforce, including engineers in China.
Okay, but
So
no,
in
yes
the-
or no?
So
Yes.
in the past, yes.
I'm
In
sorry?
the past, yes, but we are building Project Texas, and we're committing the firewall of all protected data from unwanted foreign
I'm
access.
taking that as a yes because, again, on your Article 7, the Article 7 of the 2017 National Intelligence Law. Yes or no? Do any ByteDance employees in China, including engineers, currently have access to U.S. user data?
Today, all US user data is stored by default in the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and
That's the
access to
question.
that
The
is
question
controlled
do any
by American
ByteDance
personnel.
employees in China, including engineers, currently have access to U.S. data?
Congressman, I would appreciate, this is a complex topic. Today, all data is
Yes,
stored
yes
by
or no?
default.
It's not that complex. Yes or no, do they have access to user data?
We have, after Project Texas is done, the answer is no. Today, there is still
So
some
you're
data
saying
that we need
yes,
to delete.
but we've heard
from
already
Virginia
from
and
the ranking member that he doesn't, and that he doesn't really see that Project Texas is going to be useful. So I think I'm taking that as a no because, again, you know, earlier this week you posted a TikTok video asking American users to mobilize in support of your app and oppose the potential U.S. government action to ban TikTok in the United States. Based on the established relationship between your company and the Chinese Communist Party, it's impossible for me to conclude that the video is anything different than the type of propaganda that the CCP requires Chinese companies to push on its citizens. Now you'll back.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, like my colleagues, I'm concerned about the influence of China on TikTok and what that does for U.S. users. But I'm also concerned about how the content in TikTok is being distributed, particularly to young people. This is not a problem unique to TikTok, but TikTok has 150 million users in the United States. And so I think you'll agree that TikTok has a particular responsibility to monitor content to make sure that it's safe and accurate. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I agree with that.
So, you know, I know you said in your opening statement there's a ban or limited for kids under 13 and under 18 and so on. But I know it won't be news for you that computer savvy kids actually can bypass some of those restrictions. I want to ask you what TikTok can do to make sure to monitor this content. And I want to give you some examples of some of the extreme content. In one study, 13 out of 20 results for the question, does mugwort induce abortion? It talked about herbal so-called abortifacients like papaya seeds, which don't work. And so if people searching for information on safe abortions went on TikTok, they could get devastatingly incorrect information. TikTok had a hydroxychloroquine tutorial on how to fabricate this from grapefruit. Now, there's two problems with that. Number one, hydroxychloroquine is not effective in treating COVID, so that's one issue. The second issue is you can't even make hydroxychloroquine from grapefruit. So again, this is a really serious miscommunication about healthcare information that people looking at TikTok are able to get, and in fact, it's being pushed out to them. So I want to know from you, and I will give you time to answer this. You have current controls, but the current controls are not working to keep this information mainly from young people, but from Americans in general. What more is TikTok doing to try to strengthen its review to keep this information from coming across to people?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. The dangerous misinformation that you mentioned is not allowed on our platform. It violates them.
I'm sorry to report it is on your platform, though.
Congresswoman, I don't think I can sit here and say that we are perfect in doing this. We do work very hard.
How can you make yourself more perfect? I don't want you to say it's not there or you apologize. What can you do to limit it as much as possible, more than what you're doing now?
We invest a significant amount in our content moderation work. I shared that number in my written
I know
testimony.
you're investing,
Yes.
but what steps are you taking to improve the AI or whatever else you're doing to limit this content?
For example, if you search for certain search terms, we do direct you on TikTok to safety resources. That's one of the things we have done. We will continue to invest in this. I recognize and fully align with you that this is a problem that faces our industry, that we need to really invest and address. This, I'm very in alignment. The vast majority of our users come to our platform for entertaining, safe content, but there are people who do spout some dangerous misinformation, and we need to take that very seriously, invest in it, proactively identify it, and remove it from our platform.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right now. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you.
Lady yields back.
Thank you, Chairwoman McMorris-Rodgers, for holding this important hearing. I appreciate the witness, Mr. Shou-Ji Chu, for making yourself available here today. Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi.
So if I have
Press
TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
It will have to access the network to get connections to the internet.
Is it possible then that it could access other devices on that home Wi-Fi network?
Congressman, we do not do anything that is beyond any industry norms. I believe the answer to your question is no. It could be technical. Let me get back to you.
Okay, I'd appreciate it if you can answer that. I'd like to change directions real quick. Do you receive personal employment, salary, compensation, or benefits from ByteDance?
Yes, I do.
What is your salary from ByteDance?
Congressman, if you don't mind, I would prefer to keep my compensation private.
Okay. Do you personally have any company shares or stock in ByteDance or Douyin?
Congressman, if you don't mind, I would like to keep my personal assets private.
Is TikTok the company your only source of employment compensation? Where's your other source of income outside of TikTok?
It's my only source of compensation.
Do you have any financial debts or obligations to ByteDance, Douyin, or any other ByteDance affiliated entity?
Personally? No, I do not.
Does your management team receive separate salary, compensation, or benefits from ByteDance?
We receive salaries from the entities that we are employed in, but we do share in the employee stock option plan that is available from the ByteDance top company.
So your primary salary comes from TikTok, but you have other compensation that comes directly from ByteDance?
You can characterize it as that, yes.
Does your management team have company shares or stock in ByteDance or Douyin?
Yes, some of our employees are compensated in shares in ByteDance.
Are there employees who are employed by both Douyin and TikTok?
I do not believe so.
Okay. And so I don't believe so. Is that it? I mean, again, I'll allow you to come back in the written response if you could give me a definitive answer.
I will go back and check to be very sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm referencing Project Raven, which was first reported on by Forbes last October. Their investigation revealed, I'm sorry, I'm about out of time. Do you want to respond to that?
Yes, Congressman. We do not condone the effort by certain former employees to access U.S. TikTok user data in an attempt to identify the source of leaked confidential information. We condemn these actions. After learning about them, we found a highly reputable law firm to thoroughly investigate the incident. We took swift disciplinary action against employees who were found to be involved and are implementing measures to make sure this doesn't happen again. We have made this team available to you. I think they have briefed many of you in this committee very extensively, and I will continue to make them very available to you as part of our transparent commitment.
Thank you. My time's expired. I yield back.
We're told that TikTok had surveilled, was involved in surveillance of users, very personal information. And you might say, well, not more than other companies, and I agree with Ranking Member Pallone that I really don't want to go by that standard particularly, but that TikTok's in-app browser surveilled everything from Americans, including passwords and credit card numbers, et cetera. So I just want to ask you if TikTok did track and collect this sensitive data that Americans don't want to have disclosed.
Congressman, thank you. I'm glad you asked this question because, like you pointed out, we actually do not believe we collect more data than any other social media company out there. A lot of these reports, and we can talk about which specific one you're talking about, a lot of them are not that accurate. Some of them we have actually gotten in touch with the authors to help them understand the data that we're collecting. A lot of it is speculation. This is something they could do.
Does TikTok share user information from companies, from parent companies, from affiliated, or send user information to overseas?
In the past, yes, for interoperability purposes. Now, after Project Texas, all protected U.S. data will be stored here with the access controlled by a special team of U.S. personnel. Again, Congresswoman, this is something that, as far as I understand, no other company, including American companies, are willing to go. So maybe this is something that we can ask the industry to provide, not just us, to protect U.S.
In the
user
case of
interests.
sharing information, I do want to quote from employees that you had, and here's the quote. Everything is seen in China, is really what they said. People who were in touch with the sensitive data were saying that. How do you respond to that?
I disagree with that statement.
Well, I know you disagree with that statement, but my point is, how does that happen that employees of the company are saying that, in fact, that's not true?
I don't know who this person is, so I cannot speak to what the person has or has not said. What I can say is, based on my position in this company and the responsibility that I have, that statement is just not true.
Okay, unfortunately, and I'll close, I guess I'm over my time. We need to look into the facts of this, and so do you. And I yield back.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mr. Shou, are you aware of Chinese Communist Party leader Chairman Xi Jinping's comments in May 2021 during a Communist Politburo study session where he instructed colleagues to target different countries, different audiences with short-form video? Are you aware of these comments? Yes or no?
Congressman, I'm not aware of these comments.
Okay. Well, and as was pointed out by Chairwoman Rogers, you have regular contact with Chinese Communist Party Secretary, Mr. Zhang Fuping, who is your boss at ByteDance, correct?
No.
No.
No, he's
Interesting.
neither my boss, nor do we have frequent contact.
But you have regular contact with ByteDance,
With the CEO of ByteDance.
who is, Mr. Zhang Fuping is the
He's not.
editor-in-chief.
He's not the
My
CEO.
colleague, Representative Burgess, a few minutes ago exposed that TikTok and ByteDance share legal teams. You confirmed this, correct?
Our general counsel is
Yes.
an
Yes or
American lawyer,
Yes.
veteran of Microsoft.
Also, my
many years.
colleague, Representative Latta, confirmed that your parent company, ByteDance, currently can access user data. Yes?
We have to be more
Yes.
specific.
Yes.
After
You
Project
say-
Texas, no.
I'm not asking after Project Texas, I'm asking now. Yes.
Some user data is public data, Congresswoman, which
So
means
you confirm
everybody
that.
can search
What's
for it on the
interesting to
internet.
me is that you have used the word transparency over a half a dozen times in your opening testimony and subsequently again in your answers to my colleagues. Yes or no, ByteDance is required to have a member of the Chinese government on its board with veto power. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. ByteDance owns some Chinese businesses, and you're talking about a very special subsidiary that is
Mr.
for
Shou,
Chinese business
Mr.
licensing.
Shou,
purposes.
I'm going to have to move on. You've said repeatedly that there is no threat, that this is a platform for entertainment and for fun. I have to ask you then, if there is no threat to Americans, if there is no threat to our data, privacy, security, why did an internal memo from TikTok corporate headquarters explicitly coach senior management to, quote, downplay the parent company ByteDance? Why would they say downplay the China Association and downplay AI? This is from an internal memo from your company. Why, if you had nothing to hide, would you need to downplay the association with ByteDance in China?
Congresswoman, I have not seen this memo.
You
What I
can't
can
answer
say-
that question. Mr. Shou, I'd like to direct your attention to the screen for a short video, if you don't mind. Mr. Shou, that video was posted 41 days ago. As you can see, it is captioned me as F at the House Energy and Commerce Committee on March 23rd of this year. This video was posted before this hearing was publicly noticed. I think that's a very interesting point to raise. But more concerning is the fact that it names this chairwoman by name. Your own community guidelines state that you have a firm stance against enabling violence on or off TikTok. We do not allow people to use our platform to threaten or incite violence or to promote violent extremist organizations, individuals, or acts. When there is a threat to public safety or an account is used to promote or glorify off-platform violence, we ban the account. This video has been up for 41 days. It is a direct threat to the chairwoman of this committee, the people in this room, and yet it still remains on the platform. And you expect us to believe that you are capable of maintaining the data security, privacy, and security of 150 million Americans where you can't even protect the people in this room? I think that is a blatant display of how vulnerable people who use TikTok are. You couldn't take action after 41 days when a clear threat, a very violent threat to the chairwoman of this committee and the members of this committee was posted on your platform. You damn well know that you cannot protect the data and security of this committee or the 150 million users of your app because it is an extension of the CCP. And with that, I yield back.
Can I respond, Chair?
No, we're going to move on.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, just yes or no, do you believe a requirement for annual content moderation practices for social media platforms would be beneficial? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok currently maintain records describing their algorithmic processes? Yes or no?
Congressman, I will need to check and get back to you on what kind of specific records you are talking about.
I wait for that. Over the past few years, alarming information brought to light by whistleblowers have shown that social media companies are intimately aware of the effect their products have on young women, political extremism, and more. Despite this, they withheld those studies or declined to investigate further. In either case, it shows a pattern evasive or negligent behavior that I find concerning in the extreme. Mr. Chu, does TikTok conduct its own studies on the effect of its algorithms and content distribution models on mental health or safety? And if so, how and when are those findings made public? And if not, do you believe they are necessary?
Congresswoman, we rely on external third parties and fund their research to help us understand some of these issues. For example, we worked with the Digital Wellness Lab at the Boston Children's Hospital to understand the 60-minute time limit that we put for all our under 18 users. And we are supportive of legislation that provides more funding for research, like, for example, for the NIH.
Okay. Mr. Chu, does TikTok have different policies for amplifying content that would be related to depression or dieting versus content like gardening and sports? If yes, describe these policy differences. If no, why not?
Congresswoman, thank you for that. This is a great question. The answer is yes. We are trying out some policies together with experts to understand certain contents that are not inherently harmful, like extreme fitness, for example, but shouldn't be seen too much. And these are models that we're building, and we are trying to understand, together with experts, how to best implement them across our platform, particularly for younger users.
Okay.
Mr. Chu, your algorithms have prioritized providing harmful content directly to children, like self-harm challenges and even suicide. Just 3 days ago, Italy opened an investigation into the TikTok over user safety concerns after the so-called French scar challenge went viral on your platform. I know you know about the Blackout Challenge, which others may know as the choking challenge that encourages children to bring them to the point of unconsciousness or in some cases, tragically, death. If that isn't enough, I want to share the story of Chase Naska, a 16-year-old boy from New York who tragically ended his life a year ago by stepping in front of a train. I want to thank his parents. Again, they are here. I want to thank his parents for being here today and allowing us to show this. Mr. Chu, your company destroyed their lives. Your company destroyed their lives. I admire their courage to be here and share Chase's story in the hopes that it will prevent this from happening to other families. The content in Chase's For You page was not a window to discovery, as you boldly claimed in your testimony. It wasn't content from a creator that you invited to roam the hill today, or STEM education content that children in China see. Instead, his For You page was sadly a window to discover suicide. It is unacceptable, sir, that even after knowing all these dangers, you still claim TikTok is something grand to behold. I want you to see what Chase would see. And I think if you want, again, would you share this content with your children, with your two children? Would you want them to see this? And again, I want to warn everyone watching that you may find this content disturbing, but we need to watch this, please.
Larry tip. You got to kill yourself.
Oh, word? Like right now?
And then I'm gonna put a shotgun in my mouth and blow the brains out of the back of my head.
Cool.
This is a cute story. My brother, who is addicted to painkillers, blew his head off on the State Street Bridge. Bam! Now hold on, it gets better. No letter, no goodbye, nothing.
Got a question. If I died, would you miss me?
Mr. Chu, please. Your technology is literally leading to death. Mr. Chu, yes or no? Do you have full responsibility for your algorithms used by TikTok to prioritize content to its users? Yes or no, please?
Congressman, I'll just like to, if respectfully, if you don't mind, I would just like to start by saying it's devastating to hear about the news of,
yes,
as a father myself, this is tragic.
Yes or no? I'll repeat the question. Do you have full responsibility over the algorithms used by TikTok to prioritize content to its users? Yes or no, please?
Congressman, we do take these issues very seriously.
Yes or no?
And we do provide resources for anyone who types in anything that
Sir,
is suicide
yes or
related.
no? I see you're not willing to answer the question or take any responsibility for your parents' companies, the technology, and the harms it creates. It's just very, very sad, very sad.
It's very sad.
This is why Congress needs to enact a comprehensive privacy and data security law to give Americans more control over their information and to protect our children. We must save our children from big tech companies like yours who continue to abuse and manipulate them for your own gain. And I'll yield back.
Mr. Chu, TikTok has incredible sway over children in the U.S., but you don't have a very good track record. In 2019, TikTok was hit with the largest civil penalty by the Federal Trade Commission in a children's privacy case. 4 years later, TikTok still has not taken sufficient action to fix the problems. I assume because child users are incredibly profitable to your bottom line.
So answer me this. TikTok allows advertisers to specifically target advertising to children aged 13 to 17, correct?
Congresswoman, I do want to disagree
Yes
with
or
the
no?
statement that child
Yes.
abuses are not allowed on our
Just
platform
yes
at all.
or
It's
no?
deplorable
Do you
conduct
do you
and it's not
target-
allowed on our
do you
platform.
target advertising to young people aged 13 to 17?
We do serve personalized
Okay, thank you.
advertising at this point,
And
but the
how
policies
much
are very
money-
safe for them.
How much money does TikTok make selling ads targeted to minors?
Congresswoman, can I clarify minors in what age?
From, just say, age 13 to 17.
For the teenage population, I want to clarify that we do have a under 13 experience and zero advertising on that platform. For those
Well, that's a whole other topic.
between 13 and 17, if you don't mind, I'll check into my team and get back to you on those answers.
Mr. Chu, I'm an information technology professional, been doing it for the most of my life. You've been evasive in many of your answers. I'm going to talk to you in some language that maybe you'll better understand, ones and zeros, okay? Let's talk about the Citizen Lab report. This is something your team frequently mentions in hearings as a way to exonerate yourself. For example, in the limitations section, it reads, we could not examine every source code component and test in the apps in every circumstance, which means our methods could not find every security issue, privacy violation, and censorship event. So it's an incomplete assessment. The report notes that TikTok's data collection using third-party trackers was in apparent conflict with the GDPR and that multiple themes were censored by TikTok. What is shocking to me is the shared source code between TikTok in the United States and the CCP-censored Douyin. The Citizen Labs report says that many of the functions and classes were identical and that the differences in behavior between TikTok in the United States and Douyin in China are slight changes in hard-coded values. Incredibly, specific censorship parameters from Douyin are present in TikTok, but just turned off. The authors say that for unknown reasons, the parameter variable itself is preserved. So while Citizen Lab may have been afraid to say the obvious conclusion, Mr. Chu, I am not. TikTok's source code is riddled with backdoors and CCP censorship devices. Here's the truth. In 1 million lines of code, the smallest shift from a 0 to a 1 on just one of thousands of versions of TikTok on the market will unlock explicit CCP censorship and access to American data. Mr. Chu, as CEO of TikTok, why have you not directed your engineers to change this source code?
Congressman, thank you for the question.
Have you directed them to change the source code?
Like what we are offering and my
Yes or
fourth
no?
commitment?
Have you directed them to change that source code?
Congressman, if you give me a bit of time to just
No,
explain
I don't. It's a yes or no question. Have you directed your engineers to change that source code?
I'm not sure I understand.
Why are you allowing TikTok to continue to have the capacity for censorship, and yet you claim here that you don't? Let me
It
remind
doesn't.
you of something. Do you realize that making false and misleading statements to Congress is a federal crime?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So have you directed your engineers to change that source code?
I am giving third-party access monitoring by experts, and Congressman, you are an expert on this. You could agree with me that no other company
TikTok
does
source
this.
code is the same as Douyin? What percentage?
I can get back to you on the specifics.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Where was the source code for TikTok developed? Was it developed in China or in the United States?
It's a global collaborative effort, like a lot of
Was it
code for a
developed
lot of
in,
companies.
was it developed in China? Some of it?
Some of it is.
Okay, at ByteDance. When it's compiled in the compilation process, can bytecode be manipulated? We've talked a lot about source code. What about the bytecode, the ones and zeros that actually execute on the device? Can
to
it
give
be
you comfort,
manipulated? Yes.
Congressman, to give you comfort, that's why we're giving third-party monitors.
Yes,
As an expert, I think you can agree that very few companies
I've got
offer
the
to do this.
report here by Citizen Lab. I want to read you something from Ron Diebert. Specifically, in your written testimony to Congress, you stated on page 9, Citizen Lab found that there was no overt data transmission by TikTok to the Chinese government and that TikTok did not contact any servers within China. You implied that Citizen Lab exonerated TikTok from any information sharing with China. Well, the director of Citizen Lab saw this and issued a statement correcting the record yesterday. And I'm quoting Ron Diebert, the director of the lab. I am disappointed that TikTok executives continue citing the Citizen Lab's research in their statements to government as somehow exculpatory. I've called them out on this in the past, and it's unfortunate that I have to do it again, unquote. He goes on to say, and I quote, "We even speculated about possible mechanisms through which the Chinese government might use unconventional techniques to obtain TikTok user data via pressure on ByteDance," end of quote. Mr. Chu, you sent Congress written testimony citing this lab as a support of your claim that China cannot access user data, U.S. user data. And now this lab has come out to say, we never said that. That's misleading, Mr. Chu. I hope you understand what that is. That's misleading. Mr. Chu, this is yet another instance of TikTok attempting to mislead Americans about what their technology is capable of and who has access to their information. Madam Chair, I'd like to
Madam Chair, I would
enter
like
the
to respond to that
statement
very
by Ron
quickly,
Diebert and the Citizens Lab into the record.
Without objection?
With
so
that, I
ordered.
yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair yields to the gentleman from Maryland. Mr. Sarbanes, 5 minutes.
TikTok itself has acknowledged that these features and others, like the endless scroll feature, can have an outsized effect on teens. And we've been discussing today how your app only intensifies that harm by amplifying dangerous content and misinformation. I don't want to be too paternalistic here because we have young people in the audience. We've got TikTok users that are watching this hearing, and I'm sure they have their own ideas about how this technology is being managed by TikTok and other social media platforms. They like to access the platforms, and they should be able to do that safely, so it's certainly in their interest, and they can drive this conversation, I think, perfectly well. But it's not a fair fight, is it? I mean, the algorithms are on one side of the screen. The human brain is on the other side of the screen, drowning in these algorithms, in many instances at an age where the brain's not even fully developed yet. So those addictive impulses are being sort of perfected by the technology, and again, it leaves the users sort of helpless in the face of that. Are you looking at ways to redesign core features like the ones I mentioned to be less manipulative, and addictive for users, and can you commit to making some of those modifications here today?
Congressman, thank you. We do want to be leading in terms of safety of our users, particularly for teenagers. We were the first to launch a 60-minute watch limit.
Yeah, let's talk about the 60-minute launch.
And I'm very glad to see people, others in our industry follow. For many of your recommendations, we'll study them very seriously. Yeah. We actually have a series of features. Like, for example, if you're under 16, you cannot use a direct messaging feature because we want to protect those younger users. If you're under 16, you cannot go viral by default. If you're under 18, you cannot go live. And
let me go back to the 60-minute limit. Because my understanding is that teens can pretty easily bypass the notification to continue using the app if they want to. I mean, let's face it, our teens are smarter than we are by half, and they know how to use the technology, and they can get around these limits if they want to. Are you measuring how many teens continue to exceed the 60 minutes of time on that app?
We
Any
understand
sense how that's working?
We understand those concerns. Our intention is to have the teens and their parents have these conversations about what is the appropriate amount of time for social media. That's why we give the parents what we call family
Let me
pairing.
ask you this question before I run out of time. If you concluded that putting some reasonable limits in place and trying to find a way to enforce them would lead some percentage of your users to leave TikTok and go somewhere else, is that something that you're prepared to accept?
Yes.
Really? Well, I'd love to get the research on how these limits are being implemented, how they're being bypassed, and the things that you're taking, the measures you're taking to address those issues going forward. Please bring that information back to our committee as we move forward.
I'll be happy to.
Mr. Chu, Your terms of service specifically state that TikTok does, and I quote, "not allow the depiction, promotion, or trade of drugs or other controlled substances." Despite this content being against your terms of service, and I've brought this up with other service providers, but despite this content being against your terms of service, content on your platform related to illicit drugs like fentanyl, drug trafficking, and other illicit activity is pervasive and racks up hundreds of thousands of views. For example, in 2020, the Benadryl challenge resulted in the death of an American teenager. And we heard of another one challenge earlier today that brought the death of a teenager. While you were at ByteDance, if you were the CFO for ByteDance, did Doohan allow related illicit drug trafficking or challenges resulting in death or injury to kids?
Congressman, I represent TikTok here today. I can tell you that TikTok does not allow illegal drugs content on our platform.
Does Doohan do it did in China?
I believe they don't allow this, but I will need to check. I don't run their business. I can tell you
question
TikTok
is-
does not allow this.
Because what we're concerned about, and my guess, and it would Doohan allow for 41 days a threat against a member of the Chinese Communist Party to stand on their site for 41 days?
Again, I cannot speak for Douyin, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second part of what you said.
Well, we had a threat against the chairman of our committee that was on your site for 41 days. My guess is that would not be allowed in China.
That content is, if it's violative, I will look into the specifics, and if it violates our guidelines, it will be taken down on TikTok.
Yeah, it surely
Yes.
appears that it does. But the problem is what I'm trying to get at is you seem to be able to prevent this content in China. But so not even taking it down, just prevent it from being posted, and yet it's on your website. So I have a couple of questions about, you said earlier, as soon as you find this information, you take it down. So how quickly does your algorithm detect keywords or content that involve illicit drug trafficking before these posts are self-reported or used by others?
We have about 40,000 people working on this now, together with the machines that we train. I don't think any company in our industry can be perfect at this. This is a real big challenge for our industry, but our goal is to get any violative content, including illegal drugs, down to a very, very small number.
That's the problem. When we have these hearings, we have CEOs of different companies and of your colleagues and competitors, and we always hear apologies, and we always hear, we want to do better at this, but it just doesn't seem to keep improving, and we see hearing stories of our children, and obviously this has been talked about today. So how many posts and accounts have been identified and removed from TikTok due to content posted related to illicit drugs or other controlled substances?
Congressman, we do publish that in a transparency report. I can get my team to get the information to yours.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Also, we understand that the way that people use TikTok or other platforms similar to yours is that they ensure flagged user content isn't permitted to jump from. So my question, so what we've heard is that the instances the users see a drug advertisement and then give a code to go to another site. So my question is, do you work with other platforms to ensure flagged user content isn't permitted to jump from one platform to others?
I will check with my team. I would love to work with our industry to make sure that we stamp out these problems. Violative content should not be allowed on any platforms, in my opinion.
What's the difference in China and here?
Let me give you an example, Congressman. In my home country, Singapore, there is literally almost no illegal drug content because Singapore has very strict drug laws.
Thank you. My time's expired, now yield back.
So, Mr. Chu, will TikTok continue to get information from third parties on its users' health, including their mental health, yes or no?
We will continue to work with experts, yes, if that's the question, to identify these issues.
Will you continue to get information from these third parties, including their mental health, yes or no?
Congressman, I'm sorry, I may not understand your question. If your question is if I'm working with them on these issues, the answer is yes.
It's not the question, it's will you continue to get information from these third parties on its users' health?
Get information. We do not get any user health information from third parties, Congressman.
You have talked a lot about user privacy and safety. Will you commit here today to no longer using data about users' health, particularly their mental health, to push them content or sell ads? Yes or no?
We take our users' mental health very seriously.
Yes or no?
As far as I'm aware, we don't do that, Congressman. It's not what the...
So the answer is no, you will no longer use data about users' health. In the course of a week, what percentage of content that a user sees is considered potentially harmful or distressing content?
Congressman, we work with a lot of experts on this. Even before we set the 60-minute time limit for under 18s, if you spend too much time on our platform, you can try it. If you spend too much time, we will actually send you videos to tell you to go out and get some air and get off the platform.
What percentage of content that a user sees is considered potentially harmful?
I will need to follow up with my team and get back to you on that, if that's
Well,
okay.
ballpark.
I will need to follow up with my team.
So are teenagers in particular shown more distressing content?
The opposite is true. We actually put in more restrictions to make sure that our teenagers get a better experience.
Are expectant or new parents shown more distressing content?
I know of many parents, including one I met recently, who actually use our platform to find communities, to connect with other parents and learn a lot more. I've heard amazing stories of creators who have difficulties, and the
Reclaiming
challenges
my
they face.
time. Are individuals with eating disorders shown more distressing content?
We do not, we remove all content that glorifies eating disorders, and we have worked with experts to look at certain certain content that may not inherently be harmful, like diet trends, and make sure that we disperse them more throughout our algorithm.
What about those with mental health issues? Are they
This is
given
an
more
issue we take-
distressing content?
If a user searches, words that expresses mental health issues, we actually redirect them to a safety page. Like, for example, if you, I don't know if I should say this in public, if you search, "I want to die," we will redirect you to a safety page, for example.
So what about those suffering from addiction? Are they given more distressing content?
I'm sorry, Congressman, I missed that question.
Those suffering from addiction, are they given more distressing content?
I missed the first few words, I apologize.
What about those suffering from addiction? Are they given more distressing content?
Those suffering from
Addiction.
Addiction. Do you mean drug addiction or?
Yes, or any order of addiction.
If people search for content, and you can try on a variety of subjects, we will actually direct you to a safety page to give you more resources. And a lot of recovering addicts have actually found the communities on TikTok, and it's really helped them, find their voices and the community and the courage to really overcome their addiction. I personally have heard stories of that.
Well, I appreciate your answers, but I was looking for yes or no, and we did not get those. And again, I think the more that they watch this distressing content, the more profit TikTok makes, and that's distressing.
And this is based not on conjecture, but it's based on comments provided by the official spokesperson at the Ministry of Commerce, who said that any TikTok sale or spinoff would amount to a technology export and would have to adhere to Chinese law and approval. This spokesperson was quoted as saying the Chinese, and I quote, "The Chinese government will make decisions according to the law." The Chinese government. Mr. Chu, do you agree with this official? Yes or no?
Congressman, I cannot speak on behalf of a Chinese government official.
Do you agree with that official?
We will need to look at this because Project Texas is designed to move forward here in the United States, and we are not discussing this, so I don't have specifics.
You know, your company is valued at upwards of $50 billion and has been on the verge of forced sale or ban for 3 years at least, correct? Do you expect this committee to believe you haven't already discussed this scenario with your team? And you should have an answer to this, yes or no, I agree with the Communist Party, or I don't agree with the Communist Party. So, I guess I would say at that point, you disagree with the Communist Party. Explain your discrepancy.
Congressman, for 2 years, we spent $1.5 billion US to build Project Texas. This is after very extensive discussions with relevant folks.
Project Texas is just something expanded for the future. We're talking about now. We're talking about what you're doing now, what your expectations are now, what your relationship is with the Communist Party, which is our major concern of what the impact that will be with a country. Let me rephrase that. With a Communist Party that doesn't care about America and sees us as standing in their way for superpower. That's our concern, and for you to have direct relationship, direct ownership with ByteDance, and to not have a characterization or an agreement or disagreement that you say explicitly with this party policy, it's hard for us to believe what you're saying. Let me move on. Do ByteDance employees in Beijing have access to American data?
Congressman, we have been very open about this. We have relied on global interoperability.
You
Yeah, and-
have access to American data.
Congressman, I'm answering your question if you give me just a bit of time. We rely on global interoperability, and we have employees in China. So yes, the Chinese engineers do have access to global
You
data.
have access to global data,
We have heard. the
not
concerns.
storage.
No, storage has always been in Virginia and Singapore. The physical service.
You have no access to storage, to American data today.
That's not what I said. I said,
So you do have access to American data, and you have storage of American data.
the American data has always been stored in Virginia and Singapore in the past. And access of this is on an as-required basis by
As
our
required
engineers
of who?
globally. By engineers for business purposes.
By
This is a
engineers,
private company.
ByteDance,
ByteDance.
the Communist
TikTok-
Party?
No, no.
Why, how can you say that?
This is a,
If
this
they
is
have
a
access.
private business. This is a private business, and is like many other businesses, many other American companies, we rely on the global workforce.
So the global workforce that includes ByteDance, which is connected directly to the Chinese Communist Party,
That is
has
a
access.
characterization that we disagree with. Now, in the future,
That's not what we can disagree with. That's a fact
it's not,
with
unfortunately.
the CEO of ByteDance and your
it is not.
relationship to them.
Congressman, respectfully, in my opening statement, I said this is a private company. It's owned 60% by global investors. 3 out of the 5 board members on ByteDance are Americans. This is a private business.
And you report directly to ByteDance with the CEO who is a member of the Communist Party. Let me move on.
he's not.
I think we got the answer, sadly, at this point. I believe my time has expired, so I yield back.
TikTok. Mr. Chu, I share the concerns raised by my colleague, Congresswoman Matsui, related to algorithms. I believe that without mitigation against bias, platforms will continue to replicate, exacerbate discrimination that is illegal under civil rights law, as well as exclude important dialogue about sensitive topics like race from occurring on the platform. For example, I was disturbed by reports that TikTok content moderation algorithm flagged words like Black or Black Lives Matter as inappropriate content. So my first question, Mr. Chu, is do you agree that platforms like TikTok should be subject to regular audits or transparency requirements to identify whether policies have a disparate impact on communities that are protected classes like race, religion, national origin, or gender?
I think, Congresswoman, I think platforms should be very transparent on what they do there and disclose a lot of information. We can get back on the specifics of what we mean by an audit, but I do agree very strongly that platforms should be very transparent, and it's a commitment that we're giving to this committee and all our users, that our platform will be a place for freedom of expression. We embrace all diverse points of view, all ethnic minorities. You can come and say whatever you want, as long as you don't violate the rules of safety that were put in place. And we also commit to be free of all and any government manipulation. So I think I'm in strong agreement with a lot of what you said.
My next question to you is, it's my understanding that users must be in good standing to be eligible for compensation from TikTok's Creator Fund. For example, they can't have violated community guidelines. Is this correct?
There are some details there, but directionally, yes.
If TikTok's algorithm is flagging content incorrectly, resulting in creators violating community guidelines when in fact they have not, those creators would not be eligible to receive compensation under the Creator Fund, correct?
We do have an appeals process.
The ways in which those algorithms can discriminate within the context of the social media platform. With that, Madam Chair, I yield back.
Congresswoman, is it okay if I just very quickly respond? This is a very important topic.
Unfortunately, we only have 4.5 hours with you, and I'm going to try to get to every member, so we're going to keep going.
It is very important. I would love to follow up.
There will be other opportunities. The lady yields back.
Here, Mr. Crew, welcome to the most bipartisan committee in Congress. We may not always agree on how to get there, but we care about our national security. We care about our economy, and we sure as heck care about our children. The Chinese Communist Party is engaged in psychological warfare through TikTok. Douyin, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the pronunciation. Do they have these same things over there? Do they have these kind of challenges in China?
Congressman, I'm really glad you asked this question. Yeah.
Do they, yes or no?
I'm not sure because
Yeah, whoa, come on now. You're not sure?
I really am not sure.
Remember, you took the chair lady, she said you got to tell the truth, okay? Do you know whether they have these kind of challenges like this over in China? Because it's my understanding they don't.
I'm not sure because I spend my energies running TikTok.
And you don't look at any of your other competitors or look at anything similar to yours. So you don't know whether they don't have this over in China.
I did.
We have it here, but they don't have it here. And that's why I'm asking you this. Why is it that TikTok consistently fails to identify and moderate these kinds of harmful videos? Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. I never wanna hear you say I want it that way.
This is a real industry challenge, and we're working
No, it's
very
not
hard.
industry. This is TikTok. Can you tell me right now, can you say with 100% certainty that TikTok does not use the phone's camera to determine whether the content that elicits a pupil dilation should be amplified by the algorithm? Can you tell me that?
We do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users. We do not.
You don't?
No. The only face data that you get, that we collect, is when you use the filters to have, say, sunglasses on your face, we need to know where your eyes are. And
Why do you need to know what the eyes are if you're not seeing if they're dilated?
And that data is stored on your local device and deleted after use if you use it for facial. Again, we do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users.
I find that hard to believe. It's our understanding that they're looking at the eyes. How do you determine what age they are then?
We rely on age gating as our key age assurance.
Age
gating, which is when you ask the user what age they are. We have also developed some tools where we look at their public profile to go through the videos that they post to see whether...
Well, that's creepy. Tell me more about that.
It's public. So if you post a video, you choose that video to go public, that's how you get people to see your video. We look at those to see if it matches up the age that you talked about. Now, this is a real challenge for our industry because privacy versus age assurance is a really big problem.
Look, you keep talking about the industry. We're talking about TikTok here. We're talking about children dying. Do you know how many children have died because of this? Do you have any idea? Can you tell me?
Congressman, again, it's heartbreaking.
Can you tell me how many children in America have died because of challenges like this?
The majority of people who use our platform use it for positive experiences.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, tell me the number of children, of U.S. children who have died because of these challenges.
Congressman, again, the majority of people who come on our platform get a good experience.
I'm not talking about the majority of children. I want to know a number.
Dangerous challenges are not allowed on our platform. If we find them, we will remove them. We take this very seriously.
Obviously, you found one today and you removed it. We had to bring it to your attention, and I know I'm out of time. Thank you for being here. Welcome again to the most bipartisan committee in Congress.
Gentleman yields back. We will now take a brief recess and resume in 10 minutes. The committee stands in recess.
Are you dedicating more resources today than you did months ago, years ago, on making sure that you are combing through that content to make sure that if content is dangerous or damaging or deadly, that you are bringing it down as quickly as possible?
Yes, we are investing in more Spanish language content moderation, and yes, we will, once we identify violative content, we'll take it down as soon as possible.
Thank you. And you remind me a lot of Mike Zuckerberg. When he came here, I said to my staff, he reminds me of Fred Astaire, good dancer with words. And you are doing the same today. A lot of your answers are a bit nebulous. They're not yes or no. So I'd like to ask you a question. Yes or no? Is your revenue going up at TikTok month over month or year over year?
Yes, our revenue is going up
Okay.
year over year.
And with that, some of the answers I'd like you to forward this committee is, are you investing more and more money into making sure that content that is dangerous and/or deadly, you're investing more and more resources in that aspect of your expenditures and your commitment to your users and to your organization?
Yes, I commit to that, and we are investing more, and we will continue to do that.
Okay. My last question is this. Are you a Chinese company?
TikTok is a company that's now headquartered in Singapore and Los Angeles.
Okay.
We are not available in mainland China. Our users are in other countries around the world.
Okay. Is there a corporation that has any authority above TikTok?
TikTok is a subsidiary of ByteDance, which is founded by a Chinese founder. Yes.
And ByteDance is a Chinese company?
Well, ByteDance owns many businesses that operate in China.
Is it or is it not a Chinese company?
Congressman, the way we look at it, it was founded by Chinese
No. I'm not asking you how you look at it. Fact, is it a Chinese company or not? For example, Dell is a company, it's an American company. They have activities all over the world. Is it a Chinese company?
I frequently have these discussions with others on what is a company that is now global.
That's okay. I prefer you answer the question and stop dancing verbally on it. Madam Chair, my time has expired. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to ask some specific technical questions about Project Texas and the way that you believe that it will solve this problem. So one of the things that you've said in your testimony is that part of Project Texas will have engineers at Oracle going through the source code for TikTok. How large is that code base?
Well, it's not small, but it's not just Oracle, Congressman. We are also inviting other third-party monitors. We're in the process of figuring out who the best
Sure. So we're talking millions, tens of millions of lines of code? How big is the base?
It is significant, but it's something that we believe can be done. And again, I want to say that I have not heard of another company, American or not, that has allowed for this to happen.
But I mean, you're kind of in a unique position having to answer these concerns of Congress. So are they going through the code for just the app or the app and the server code?
I can get back to you on the technical details, but it's comprehensive, including the software that powers a lot of the software that powers the experience.
And how long will that review take?
I need to get back to you on the timeline, but we are progressing quite well on Project Texas, and whenever we hit a milestone, I commit to be very transparent about it.
Okay. So I'm wondering, because I'm also concerned as a software engineer about the process in which new code is introduced into the code base. Do you use a software configuration management system at TikTok?
The way we plan for new code to be done is that even before the code becomes live, it has to be reviewed. The changes have to be reviewed by
So
the
you're
third-party
talking
monitors.
about a code review. That was good. That was another question I had for you. So the code review, is it done with a team of engineers or just with a single engineer?
Oh, it's going to be a team effort.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's going to be done at Oracle or elsewhere?
It's going to be done in one of our transparency centers so that we still need to make sure that the code itself is secure. And,
Okay.
yeah.
What I'm hearing you say is that even though the code might be written by someone not in the United States, before the code is integrated, it'll be reviewed in a code review by a team of engineers within the United States?
That's the plan.
Okay, and back to the question about the software configuration management system, how do you manage the integration of that code change into the rest of the TikTok code base?
The long and short of it is we have built a team of American personnel with security credentials. The person who leads the team used to work for the Secret Service,
No, I
for
understand,
example.
but I mean, there's a software solution for integrating those code changes into the code base. What solution is that?
I will
Use
need
a
to check
commercial
and
one?
get back to you on the
Okay,
details.
well,
Yeah.
specifically, what I'd like to know is to make sure that this isn't something that TikTok has created custom, which many companies do, because that would mean that you'd have to review the source code for that as well for security. How do you protect against threats like a malicious actor being hired not by TikTok, but by Oracle, for example, or by USDS?
The approach that most companies take for these things is to have several layers of monitoring to make sure that everything that somebody has reviewed, there's a secondary review, so that one malicious actor is not able to create the damage that the malicious actor can do. But you rightly pointed out, these kind of problems are industry-wide problems.
Right.
Every company has to deal with them.
Okay, well, let me ask a specific question about that. I mean, in thinking about if I were a malicious actor, a software engineer on one of your projects, how I would go about writing a malicious code. I wouldn't put it right there and say, hey, I'm malicious. I would put unrelated lines of code in different sections of the code that work together to do something malicious. How do you think that that could get caught?
Again, we have to rely on third-party experts to help us with that. I think there are enough experts who can catch a lot of these things. The work on security globally, on all data security, is never perfect.
Yeah, I understand.
But we can have a lot of oversight to keep it safer than any other experience.
I appreciate the effort. My concern, Mr. Chu, is I don't believe it is technically possible to accomplish what TikTok says it will accomplish through Project Texas. I just think that there are too many back doors through that process to allow that to be possible, and I think a malicious actor would succeed in inserting malicious code in there if they wanted to. But I see we're out of time. I hope we get an opportunity to talk some more about this. I yield back, Madam.
One important area of concern I have regarding data collection is geolocation data and how it can be abused. I've seen it abused. I have seen women die because it has been abused. This subject has dangerous implications for survivors of domestic violence, people seeking medical care, and protecting children from potential predators. Mr. Chu, in your testimony, you wrote that current versions of the app do not collect precise or approximate GPS information from U.S. users. Yes or no answers, please. Mr. Chu, have any prior versions of TikTok's app collected precise GPS information from U.S. users? Yes or no?
Yes, from back in 2020, about 3 years ago.
Are there currently TikTok users who still hold old versions of the app that collect precise GPS information from U.S. users? Yes or no?
There could be, but that's a small percentage today.
Still dangerous. Has TikTok at any time fed precise GPS information collected from U.S. users into algorithms to serve user ads? Yes or no?
I will need to check on the details because we do not currently collect that. So I need to check on the details.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a yes there. But has TikTok at any time fed precise GPS information collected from U.S. users into algorithms? I know I'm having talk today to make inferences about users. Yes or no?
I'm not sure of the specifics.
I'd like answers, yes or no, after this. Has TikTok at any time sold precise GPS information collected from U.S. users? Yes or no?
We do not sell data to data brokers, if that's the question.
And you've never done that?
I do not believe so.
Has TikTok at any time sold or shared with third parties algorithmic inferences that were made using, in part or in whole, precise GPS information collected from U.S. users? Yes or no?
Congressman, I need to check on these specifics. What I can tell you is right now we do not collect precise GPS location data in the United States.
All right. Does TikTok still use inferences that were made using, in part or in whole, precise GPS information collected from U.S. users?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
Does TikTok still use inferences that you've gained that were made using, in part or whole, precise GPS information collected from U.S. users in your algorithms?
That will be a very technical question. I will have to check and get back to you.
Has TikTok at any time provided the Chinese government with either precise GSP information collected from U.S. users or inferences made from that data?
That I can give you a straight no.
And what I'd like to know is when the Chinese Communist government moved to buy shares of ByteDance, were you informed beforehand, yes or no?
No.
Okay.
Congressman ByteDance...
Were you or anyone with TikTok asked for your opinion about the sale of shares of ByteDance to the Chinese Communist government? Yes or no?
It hasn't happened.
Did you or anyone employed by or affiliated with TikTok state any objections or concerns about the possibility of the Chinese Communist government, once they had shares in ByteDance, exercising control over content, using your platform for conducting misinformation campaigns, or restrictions ensuring nothing is posted that reflects badly on the Chinese Communist government, or for surveillance and data collection for use against anyone? did any of you or anyone affiliated with TikTok raise any concerns about that?
Congressman, we do not collect, we do not
I
promote.
didn't ask you that. It's
We
a
do not
yes or no.
promote.
Did you raise any concerns about it? Because that's why we're here.
But we do not promote or remove
I
any
didn't
content
ask
at the
you that.
behalf of the Chinese government.
Did you communicate in any form or fashion with the directors of ByteDance that there might be concerns about government control over content? Yes or no? You either did or you didn't?
Congressman,
You didn't.
I just want to make this clear. We
Let me
do
ask
not
you
remove
this.
or promote content at the request of the Chinese
TikTok
government.
insiders have already said that the company is tightly controlled by ByteDance. It even gets down to the hours they work.
And it's a commitment to keep this
Let me
free
ask
from
you this.
interference
Michael
from any
Beckerman,
government.
who is your vice president and head of public policy for the Americas, right? Is he part of the team that helped you prepare for this meeting, yes or no?
Can I clarify who you mean?
Michael Beckerman.
Yes, he is.
Okay, where is he at this moment?
I'm sorry?
Where's Mr. Beckerman at this moment?
He's probably here.
No, you know he's here. He's sitting right behind you. I want to know why. And you have repeatedly used the word transparency throughout this hearing. And every time you've said it, what I've heard is deception. I yield back.
Again, that is 90% of ads containing false and misleading election misinformation went undetected on TikTok. And just to add some color to the type of misleading ads that were approved by TikTok, this included ads that were live on TikTok that said the wrong election day and actually encouraged people to vote twice. You do know that voting twice is a felony. Mr. Chu, you do know that it's legal to vote twice.
Congressman, any misinformation that comes around a political election is something we take very seriously.
Let me, I'm particularly troubled about this type of information. Mr. Chu, do you agree with me that it is completely unacceptable that 90% of these ads were undetected on your platform? And can you detail for us right now TikTok's policy regarding election misinformation and paid political ads, and how the company monitors such information, and how you plan to get that number down to zero?
Whilst TikTok is a place for our users to come and express their points of views freely, we do take misinformation, dangerous misinformation, particularly around an election, very seriously. And we will work with third-party experts to identify misinformation.
You call allowing 90% of false content, political content, on your platform to be taken, you define that as being taken seriously?
I need to look into the specifics. I'm not sure where the number came from, but I can tell you, Congressman, that we are the only platform that I know of that doesn't actually take political ads. We don't accept money. I don't think other platforms can say that.
Mr. Chu, can you detail how you responded to that report? Did you respond to that report that I just mentioned?
I need to look at the specifics of the report, Congressman, and I can get back to you on that.
All right, Mr. Chu.
Mr. Chu, has ByteDance spied on Americans at the direction of the Chinese Communist Party?
No.
Madam Chair, I'd like to enter into the record this October 20th, 22 Forbes article entitled TikTok Parent ByteDance Plan to Use TikTok to Monitor the Physical Location of Specific U.S. Citizens.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. The project assigned this to a Beijing-led team, and they were going to follow individual American citizens. I ask you again, Mr. Chu, has ByteDance spied on American citizens?
I don't think the spying is the right way to describe it.
All right.
This is ultimately...
We can differ on
this
that.
Is,
I'll
this is
reclaim my
ultimately
time.
an internal
Any
investigation.
TikTok or ByteDance data that is viewed, stored, or passes through China is subject to the laws of China, one-party authoritarian state hostile to all American standards of privacy. Follow that you expect us to believe that you would not censor on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, since you've already done so.
I want to be unequivocal on this. We do not remove or
reclaim my
promote
time.
content on behalf
While
of the Chinese
TikTok, in
government.
your words, strives to deliver on their mission to inspire creativity and bring joy to American users, I assure you that is not the mission or goal of the Chinese Communist Party, which runs the People's Republic of China, that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is domiciled in.
Do you use machine learning to influence the algorithms at TikTok?
This gets very technical, and we have published several blogs about this, which I can forward to your team.
Okay.
But yes, it's mainly based on interest signals.
Right, okay,
Like,
so,
yeah.
so here's my question. How could looking at the algorithm confirm that it's free from foreign influence? Because the algorithm is just a neural net architecture with inputs and outputs and weights, and how to train that. I mean, the influence is an external factor. So I'd appreciate it if you could give us, I see we're out of time again, a written answer to that. But again, I am concerned that what you're proposing with Project Texas just doesn't have the technical capability of providing us the assurances that we need. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Do you think that there is a sufficient safety mechanism for an 8-year-old to be able to access TikTok?
An 8-year-old's experience on TikTok will be so highly restricted that every single piece of content he or she will see will be vetted by Common Sense, our third-party child safety expert, and the 8-year-old will not be able to post, and the 8-year-old will not be able to see any personalized feed and zero advertising in that experience. So I believe, yes, it is the appropriate experience for an 8-year-old.
Well, then why don't you let your 8-year-old child on TikTok?
I have seen these news articles. I would like to address that. My kids live in Singapore, and in Singapore, we do not have the under 13 experience. If they lived here in the United States, I'll let them use the under 13 experience.
Okay, so you're saying it's because of the country you live in doesn't have the same mechanisms. Is there a reason you don't have those same mechanisms everywhere?
In principle, we want to provide a good experience for our users in general. We don't want to monetize from people who are under 13. In the US, we are COPPA compliant, and as part of that, we were deemed as I want to get these specifics right. We were deemed as a particular type of audience, mixed audience app. I want to make sure that that's right. And as a result of that, we have to provide an experience to our under 13 users in this country as well.
My time has expired. Thank you. I yield back.
So we've touched on this today, but I want to be super specific. Is it possible that TikTok had enough data, could get enough data on me, that you could use artificial intelligence and your algorithms and machine learning to write an algorithm that could persuade me to change how I view a policy issue? Does that possibility exist?
The way we look at it—
30,000 feet, run a sprint.
I will stay very high level.
Okay,
the way
yes.
we look at it is our users come in and express whatever views they
But
want.
that's not the point. The point is you could write an algorithm that would change. And we've actually seen, the Washington Post reported the Stop the Willow campaign shows how TikTokers are tackling climate change. I think that's all fine, right, and all good, unless somebody has interjected into that and magnified or diminished voices in that. And what I'm proposing to you today is that pushes them across the line from a distributor to a publisher if they make those decisions. Now, serious allegations have been made against your platform and others, many of them here today, and you're not new to these allegations. This isn't your platform, but some time ago there was an allegation that a platform recommended ISIS-related videos. We've talked about the weight loss videos. We didn't talk about it, but they're still in the elections. Whatever the motivation, I'm trying to point out that as you move from a publisher, as you manipulate this data with algorithms, that you step out from the protections of Section 230. Do you see that logic?
This is a very complex
I understand it's very complex, but you see the logic. In your mind, has TikTok ever stepped across the line from a distributor to a publisher?
Congressman, again, this is a very complex topic. I would need to get back to you on this.
I understand that. Okay, and finally, very quickly, you produced a video that now is well known about your visit here and today in Washington, D.C. Can you tell me 100% that no TikTok employees manually manipulated that to get more views?
I checked, and as far as I know, there was no boosting and heating. I went viral organically.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'm sorry I'm out of time. I yield my time.
Mr. Chu, yes or no, would you oppose legislation that banned the use of intentionally manipulative design techniques that trick users into giving up their personal information?
In principle,
it's just a yes or no.
In principle, I agree that that kind of practices is not.
And can TikTok users opt out of targeted ads? Yes or no?
At this moment in time, we believe that this is a very important part of the experience.
Yes or no? Time is ticking.
It is an important part of the experience.
You've said you've spent, in your testimony, $1.5 billion. You've hired 1,500 full-time employees. Can I ask for some specifics about the implementation? This $1.5 billion, what was it used for? The employees, were they people that you already had that you just transferred over? And what types of roles will they have?
Oh, okay. This $1.5 billion is spread across many things, including the infrastructure we have to build, the migration of the data to a new cloud infrastructure, and all the third-party security partners that we're hiring, and of course the new employees. Now, this team will now be run by a gentleman who used to be who has spent his career as a chief security officer in other companies, and another gentleman who used to work, I believe, in
If you could
one of
just
the
follow
national-
up
yeah.
with us, that would be very helpful.
I will. I will.
Because we would really like to understand the details. Where's the money going? How many people and what will they be doing?
Okay.
My next question. India banned the use of TikTok in their country in 2020. New Zealand has banned the installation of TikTok on devices connected to the country's parliamentary network. Canada banned the installation of TikTok on government devices. The United Kingdom has banned the TikTok app from government-owned devices. Belgium banned the TikTok from government phones. The European Union banned the installation of TikTok on government devices. All cited security risks with the company's data collection and connection to the Chinese Communist Party. Recently, our U.S. FBI Director Christopher Wray said about TikTok, quote, "This is a tool that is ultimately within the control of the Chinese government, and to me, it screams out with national security concerns." Mr. Chu, how can all of these countries and our own FBI director have been wrong?
I think a lot of risks that are pointed out are hypothetical and theoretical risks. I have not seen any evidence. I'm, eagerly awaiting discussions where we can talk about evidence, and we then can address the concerns that are being raised.
The pressure is mounting. So, Mr. Chu, would TikTok be prepared to divest from ByteDance and Chinese Communist Party ties if the Department of Treasury instructed you all to do so?
Congressman, I said in my opening statement, I think we need to address the problem of privacy. I agree with you. I don't think ownership is the issue here. With a lot of respect, American social companies don't have a good track record with data privacy and user security. I mean, look at Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, just one example. So I do think that, it is not about the ownership. It is a lot about making sure we have Project Texas, making sure that we're protecting and firewalling US user data from unwanted foreign access, giving third parties to come in to have a look at this, and making sure that everybody is comfortable. We're giving transparency and third-party monitoring, and that's what we're doing for Project Texas. 10.
When am I going to get paid for the data that you are selling, or you're getting revenue from advertisers? When am I going to get paid for the data you're getting from my children, my grandchildren, my neighbors? I think that's the only way to get your attention, is talk about the money you're making, and maybe that'll get you all to do what you're supposed to do.
I respect and understand your opinion. The vast majority of our users have a great experience. I sent a video recently as well. I got hundreds of thousands of comments.
But what am I getting? It's a great experience. What about these 800 bad experiences that people in the Indiana 6th District have been getting?
We will look into them, and a lot
You're
of
going to look into it, but this is a 30-second big tech hearing, and you're always going to look at it. Frankly, I think you're all stalling is what you're doing. You're just trying to buy time while you're making the $18 billion, perhaps, whatever you're making.
According to an August 2022 article in the New York Times, TikTok's in-app web browser can track every individual keystroke made by a user. We have heard today about the various ways in which the app's code could be used to monitor or track users, and likewise, we've heard concerns that this data may not be fully isolated from access by the Chinese Communist Party. That said, I'd like to know more about the historical, non-public U.S. personal data that your company has already amassed. Mr. Chu, you have publicly stated that the non-public information of TikTok users in the United States is being transferred to an Oracle-based cloud infrastructure because of safety concerns. Will that be completed by the end of this week, by the end of this month? What's the outline for dealing with that data that you've already amassed?
All new data is already stored by default in this Oracle Cloud infrastructure with the
No, I'm talking
safeguards.
about the data that you've already amassed.
We are in the process of deleting.
What timeline will that data be able to be stored?
I believe we will be able to get it done this year. I'm hiring.
This year, thank you. It's not going to occur anytime soon. To be clear, until that data transfer happens, user data remains accessible to the Chinese Communist Party. On March 1st of this year, the committee asked you when you plan to delete non-public historical U.S. user data. Are you aware of this?
Congressman, I disagree with this assessment that the Chinese government can get access to the data. It's really for, look, this is a private company. This is what Chinese employees
You
work on.
responded in writing to this committee. I have the response that we got back from you on March 7, just 6 days later. Your attorneys wrote, the company, I'm quoting, the company plans to begin the process of deleting non-public historic U.S. user data this month and anticipates that the process will be completed this year. You came up with a supposed plan in the summer of 2022, specifically based on our concerns that the Communist Chinese government was spying on U.S. users. But you only just came up with the idea to delete historic non-public U.S. data just 2 weeks ago? Let me read it again. On March 7th, your attorneys wrote, and I quote, the company plans to begin the process of deleting non-public historical U.S. data this month and anticipates that the process will be completed this year. Mr. Chu, did you just come up with this plan only because we asked about it on March 1st?
No, we started deleting this.
Well, because that's what it looks like to me.
We
This
hired
is
a third-party
incredibly
auditor to help
disappointing.
us with this.
Wouldn't you agree that awaiting even minutes for this personal privacy protection is absolutely wrong and it is not in the best interest of your users?
You talked earlier about the shareholders' ownership of TikTok, and you said 60% is global investors, 20% is employees, and 20% is original founders. Are all those voting shares the same?
No, the founder has weighted voting rights as is common in our industry.
So as far as a voting block of share of zoned in ByteDance, do you know if the Chinese Communist Party, not Chinese government Communist Party officials, the Chinese Communist Party, do you know what their percentage of the actual voting block share of ByteDance is?
The Chinese Communist Party doesn't have voting rights in ByteDance.
Chinese Communist Party members is a different question.
I
Do the founders control the voting block of ByteDance's shares?
I do know that the founder himself is not a member of the Communist Party, but we don't know the political affiliation of our employees because that's not something we ask.
Does the Chinese government know the political affiliation of their Chinese citizens?
I cannot answer that question on their behalf.
But there are also some specific things relating to TikTok that I want to focus my questions on and really want to understand where there's a difference and how we can craft legislation that addresses the very real challenges that we've been hearing about today. As you know, states across the country have joined an ongoing investigation into possible violations of consumer protection laws by TikTok as they pertain to TikTok's effect on the mental health of American children and teenagers. As part of this investigation, states have requested to review internal TikTok communications that takes place on Lark. That's TikTok's primary instant messaging system. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And does every TikTok employee have a Lark account?
It is very similar to companies that use Slack or any other instant messaging tool.
But Lark is a proprietary instant messaging tool. It's not Slack.
It is something that was developed, yes,
And
by ByteDance.
It was developed by TikTok?
No, it's developed by ByteDance.
It's developed by ByteDance. Okay. And so a couple questions stemming from that. Is it true that Lark video conferencing has a translation feature in which Chinese is translated to English text and vice versa?
That is correct. It helps with global cooperation.
Okay. And those translated conversations are somehow saved into the Lark system?
I will need to get back to you on the specifics.
Okay.
There is, I'll get back to you on the specifics.
Okay, that would be great to know, and I neglected to ask, but does every TikTok employee have a Lark account,
Yes, I believe so, yes.
including you? Do you have one?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
And then do you have there's some kind of profile for your instant messaging system. So every employee identifies their manager and their department, who they work for, what they do. Is that all included in their Lark profile? Do you know?
It's very common for companies to have enterprise messaging tools that
Sure.
companies use.
It does, and I guess I'm asking specifically about Lark since it's specific to TikTok, whether it includes information like identifying who, for example, your manager is. Do you know whether that's something that's identified in Lark?
Yes, again, some of these HR features are built into a lot of enterprise tools that we use, and yeah.
So like for your own profile, does it identify who your manager is?
Yes, it does.
And who does it identify as your manager?
I report to the CEO of ByteDance.
Okay, and so that is Zhang Yiming, is that identified as your manager? That's the former CEO.
He has stepped down from the board and
so-
as the CEO, yes.
Okay, so Mr. Rubo is identified now as your manager on
Yes.
the system? Okay. And as you mentioned, it was developed by ByteDance, so it's not just used by TikTok employees, it's also used by ByteDance employees, is that right?
Also by other companies now. I think Lark is selling it, and it's a good tool for instant messaging.
So Lark is available to third parties outside of the ByteDance system as well, like
Yes.
Slack? And do you personally ever use Lark to communicate with ByteDance?
With employees at ByteDance? Yes, I do.
You do, okay. Well, I'm running out of time, and I'm sorry to say, because this is really interesting. I do think it underscores some of the concerns that have been raised in this hearing. So I think it's clear we have work we need to continue to do here in the Congress to address data protection and privacy. And with that, Madam Chairwoman, I thank you, and I will yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Committee stands in recess and will reconvene immediately following the third vote being called.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Mr. Chu, earlier we had submitted into evidence the TikTok, ByteDance, and their ties to the Chinese Communist Party report that was filed as an exhibit last week with the Senate in Australia. If you have any comment, I'd like to get it on this paragraph out of their summary. Our research confirms beyond any plausible doubt that TikTok is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is a PRC company, and ByteDance is subject to all the influence, guidance, and de facto control to which the Chinese Communist Party now subjects all PRC technology companies. We show in this report how the CCP and the PRC state agencies together, the party state, have extended their ties into ByteDance to the point that the company can no longer be accurately described as a private enterprise. You keep calling it a private enterprise, but all the countries in the world are saying it's not a private enterprise, it's part of the Chinese Communist Party. What say you, sir, yes or no? Is it part of the Chinese Communist Party, as everybody thinks, or are you still living in some mystical world?
I disagree with many
So
conclusions.
you're living in
that
the mystical
report.
world, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, I got to hand it to you. You've actually done something that in the last 3 to 4 years has not happened, except for the exception of maybe Vladimir Putin. You have unified Republicans and Democrats. And if only for a day, we're actually unified because we have serious concerns. Does TikTok support good? I mean, is TikTok a platform for good? Just yes or no?
I believe yes.
Okay. Does TikTok support freedom of speech?
Yes, it's one of the commitments I've given this committee.
Do you personally support the First Amendment?
Congressman, I'm here to talk
As the
about
CEO of TikTok?
I'm here to talk about TikTok.
As the CEO of TikTok, do you support
TikTok supports freedom
Thank
of
you.
speech.
Does TikTok support genocide?
Again, Congressman, I'm here to talk about TikTok.
Does TikTok support genocide? Does TikTok?
No. But,
Okay, thank you.
okay, but I'm here to talk
I'm
about
reclaiming my time. I'm going to go to a video now, and it's from Enes Kanter Freedom. And I'd like you to see Enes Kanter Freedom, who has spent his entire career post-MBA fighting against human rights violations within the Chinese Communist Party. Go ahead and play this video, which highlights a situation that allegedly shows some human rights violations inside China. Please play. Mr. Chu, this was a video that was posted on TikTok by Enes Kanter Freedom. Are you familiar with this basketball player?
I'm not familiar with the specifics of this, but I can tell you
Are
that,
you familiar with the player Enes Kanter Freedom?
Congressman, I'm not
Okay, you're the
familiar with this.
CEO.
You just have to open TikTok and just search for this kind of
Okay.
content. It really exists.
I've read the moderation policy. Let me just quote what you've talked about content moderation. TikTok has a moderation policy, yes?
We do have community guidelines that
One of the guidelines says material that in the sole judgment of TikTok is objectionable. Is this an example? Banning Enes Kanter freedom, is that an example of objectionable material inside the Chinese Communist Party in mainland China?
we do not take down content simply because it's critical of
He
China.
was
We do
banned
not do
1
that.
week after this video.
We do not do that. And I can check on the specific.
If you need a note, go ahead.
The note says he's not banned.
His account was taken off 1
well,
week after.
We can check on the specifics. after
We
this.
can check.
Yeah.
So, do you disagree with FBI Director Wray and NSA Director Nakasone when they said that the CCP could have the capability to manipulate data and send it to the United States? Do you disagree with their statement?
Their statement says could.
So, do you disagree with that?
No, I don't disagree with that.
Okay, so it is possible that the CCP, under the auspices of ByteDance, which is your parent company, which you get paid from, has the ability to manipulate content that is being shared with 130 million Americans, yes?
Congressman, I just want to make sure I'm understanding all these questions. I don't disagree with them that there are data risks in general. That's what I meant.
There's a big data risk
But
because
on us specifically,
are there engineers located inside mainland China that work on TikTok? Not Douyin, but TikTok.
we are not the only company that has that.
Are there engineers inside mainland China currently working on the algorithm for TikTok?
Congressman, like I said,
As you
there
told
are
me in
other-
my office.
There are other companies that, as I told you in your office, there are
By
other
the way, I'm
companies
going to
that do
reclaim
that.
my time. Please rename your project. Texas is not the appropriate name. We stand for freedom and transparency, and we don't want your project. I yield back.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mr. Chu, you share legal counsel, lawyers with ByteDance, yes or no?
Yes, we do.
And you testified that you prepared extensively with your legal team for this hearing, yes or no?
With my team in DC, including the
Including some of your legal counsel?
Yes.
Right. And did they tell you about the report to the Australian Senate of March 14th that I referenced earlier? Did they tell you that that report was out there, yes or no?
I cannot recall how I found out about the report.
But you know about the report?
I can check
Okay.
and, yeah.
And did they tell you to favorably cite the Citizens Lab in your written testimony today, yes or no?
Congressman, I need to get back to you on specifics.
They helped you with the preparation of your written statement, though, didn't they?
A team prepares, yes.
Yes. And did they tell you that the director of Citizen Lab says he has called out your company for misrepresenting their report repeatedly and did so as late as yesterday? Did they tell you about that, yes or no?
Congressman, the Citizen Lab is saying they cannot prove a negative, which is what I've been trying to do for the last 4 hours.
All right. But you cited it favorably as saying that it did positive things for you. That being said, let me ask you this. You keep talking about transparency, but you haven't been transparent with us here today. You were asked earlier by Mr. Hudson if you owned stock in ByteDance. You said you didn't want to reveal that. Well, we're trying to figure out what the ties are between ByteDance and TikTok. I'm not going to ask you how many shares you own, but do you own shares in ByteDance, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right, there you go. How about in TikTok?
Right now, all employees own shares in one
Yeah, sure.
entity.
I expected that. I just don't understand why you didn't tell Mr. Hudson that and were transparent earlier. Instead, you made us drag it out of you. All right. Now, let's talk about the kids. You told several of our folks that there was a 60-minute deadline. You also told us that if you were under the age of 18, you couldn't access the live section, the live option. So I texted my 17-year-old and my 15-year-old, and I basically got scoffs back, when I said, "Are you all limited to 60 minutes?" My older son said, "Well, there is a notice I get from time to time that says I shouldn't be on more than 60 minutes, but it never has kicked me off." And my younger son said, "Oh, I'm on as long as I want to be." So I'm just informing you, whoever told you, particularly if it was your legal team, that that's not accurate, that they're on for more than 60 minutes and they can access the live section. I believe it was Mr. Carter that you said they couldn't, under 18, access the live, being on live section. He's done it. So whatever it is you think you're doing, it ain't getting done. Now, let's talk about the law for a minute. You share legal team, but you keep talking about how you got a firewall between you and ByteDance. You can't have an effective firewall under the United States interpretation of such if you're sharing legal counsel, because anything that you say to your legal counsel, they can share internally. If you've got the same lawyers, now maybe you have two different teams of lawyers in the law firm, but that's not what you said to us today. You said you share lawyers. There is no firewall legally. I'm just telling you. So if you want to clean it up and be transparent, you need to do something about that. Wouldn't you agree, yes or no? That you need to do something about that.
Congressman,
You'll look into it. I know. You'll look into it. You've been looking into it all the time. All right, you told Dr. Burgess when asked if your employees, if your employees who were members of the Chinese Communist Party had access to TikTok data from the U.S., you said you didn't know who was a member of the Communist Party. But then Congressman Wahlberg, you said that the CEO of TikTok was not a member of the Chinese Communist Party. And to Congressman Kelly, you said the founder of TikTok was not a member of the Communist Chinese Party. Sir, either you know who is and isn't a member of the Chinese Communist Party or you don't. Which one is it? I submit that you know, and you just aren't giving us the straight story. Clearly, you know, but you denied that to Dr. Burgess.
I can ask one or two people, but we have no policy to ask all the employees. I can ask one or two people, but who are in
But it's reasonable
key
to
positions.
assume that with a significant number of members of the country, of China, being members of the Chinese Communist Party, logic would tell us, you're a logical man, I assume, logic would tell us that there are a fair number of your employees who are members of the Chinese Communist Party, at least a dozen or so, who have access to this data. Isn't that so?
Again, like I said, I can ask one or two people. We don't have a policy to ask
I
everybody.
said earlier, you're living in some kind of a cloud world.
So
Again-
here's the main point of concern. China's 2017 national intelligence law states very clearly that, quote, any organization or citizen shall support, assist, and cooperate with state intelligence work in accordance with the law and maintain the secrecy of all knowledge of state intelligence work. In other words, ByteDance, and also your TikTok employees that live in China, they must cooperate with Chinese intelligence whenever they are called upon. And if they are called upon, they're bound to secrecy. That would include you. So, Mr. Chu, if the CCP tells ByteDance to turn over all data that TikTok has collected inside the US, even within Project Texas, do they have to do so, according to Chinese law?
Congressman, first, I'm Singaporean.
That's fine, but there are employees of yours and ByteDance's in China.
We understand this concern. In my opening statement, we said, we hear these concerns, we didn't try to avoid them or trivialize them. We built something where we take that data and put it out of reach. This is what we did. We put it out of reach.
Out of reach, but they own you.
No, we put it out of reach by storing them.
ByteDance owns TikTok. If ByteDance is, and the CCP owns ByteDance, because the CCP owns everybody in China. And so by law, they can make them do whatever they want, and they say that by law, you can't tell anyone about it. So they can make you hand over that data. Is that correct?
Data is stored here in American soil by an American
Well,
company
you say that.
overseen by American
We thought that, but leaked audio from 80 internal TikTok meetings shows that US user data has been repeatedly accessed from China when you said it hasn't been. And here's the other thing, following back on my colleague's line of questioning, in your own privacy policy, it says that you may share information within your so-called corporate group. Is ByteDance part of that corporate group?
If you're talking about the share of the entity with the share, like I shared with the previous.
Is ByteDance part of the corporate group?
ByteDance as a holding company is part of the corporate group, yes.
It's part of the corporate group.
Yeah.
Okay, so your own privacy policy says you have to share data with ByteDance. And if the CCP says, hey, ByteDance, you're going to do what we say, and you can't tell anyone about it because by law, according to that 2017 national intelligence law, they have to do it. That's our concern. Maybe you haven't done it yet, but my point is that you might have to. And that's where our concerns come from. I mean, over 300 TikTok employees have worked for China's state-run propaganda media. That's just from looking at their LinkedIn profiles. Okay, so and my last point is this. I want to say this to all the teenagers out there and TikTok influencers who think we're just old and out of touch and don't know what we're talking about, trying to take away your favorite app. You may not care that your data is being accessed now, but it will be one day when you do care about it. And here's the real problem. With data comes power. They can choose what you see and how you see it. They can make you believe things that are not true. They can encourage you to engage in behavior that will destroy your life. Even if it is not happening yet, it could in the future. The long-term goal of the Chinese Communist Party is the demise of the American power, and that starts with our youth. At any moment, they could demand that all of TikTok's data be used to design an AI algorithm with the sole purpose of promoting Chinese interests and destroying our society from within. You want to know why why Democrats and Republicans have come together on this? That's why we are so concerned. Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I remind the members they have 10 business days to submit questions for the record, and I ask our witness to respond to the questions promptly. Pursuant to committee rules, I ask unanimous consent to enter the documents from the staff list into the record without objection. So ordered. Members should submit their questions by the close of business on April 6th. Without objection, the committee is adjourned.